Hello, and thanks everyone for responding to my performance of Unshuffled. I've divided this tutorial into three parts, so bear with me. Part one is just going to explain the principles behind the trick, whereas part two and part three are going to go into more detail about the mechanics. So if you just want to see how the trick is done, or you're already familiar with the technical details, you really just need to watch part one. If you want to perform the trick and you're unfamiliar with the mechanics, then I do suggest watching part two and part three of this tutorial. You're also in for a treat. I'm going to give you a really neat variation compared to the performance that you saw before. So first let me explain the principle. If you take an unshuffled deck of cards, that is a deck that is in its original order, ace of hearts through to king of clubs, and you divide the deck in half, and you do what's called a pharaoh shuffle, where every single card is perfectly weaved, and you do this 8 times in a row, the deck will actually retain its order. It will go back to its original setup. So that's the principle behind the trick. Now, how does it actually get to work? Well, the setup goes as follows. I take the two black nines in the version that you see, and I switch their order. Okay. Then I do, I write down on a little card, I will switch the two black nines. Then, and this is all done before I perform, I do 5 perfect pharaoh shuffles. So to save you the trouble of watching me do 5, I have a prearranged deck. And that is actually the setup. If you look at these cards, you'll see that they do look like they are shuffled, but in fact, this is just the results of 5 perfect pharaoh shuffles on an originally stacked deck. So really all I need to do from this point forward is do 3 pharaoh shuffles, which will equal 8, right, because I did 5 before, and the deck will reset. Now what I do in the performance is I throw in a few false shuffles on the table to sort of look like I'm doing more than I actually am. But really, I could just do 3 pharaoh shuffles here, and the trick would be done. So let me show you the variation that I thought would be really neat to do. What I've done is, instead of reversing the nines, I just left the deck in its original order. I did 5 pharaoh shuffles, and I've now switched the king of clubs and the 8 of diamonds. Okay, I think that they were originally like this, and I've just switched them. Then what I thought is you get a finger break below the 8, right, which is above the king. And I force that using a riffle force on one audience member. So I say, tell me when to stop. Okay, they say stop anywhere, and then I grab from the back. I really like the riffle force, and I say, okay, remember that card. Now, as I'm replacing this card, I'm going to get a break now underneath that king. Okay, so I replace it. And then I go to another spectator and I say, okay, tell me when to stop. They say stop. And now again, I lift at that and I say, remember that card. So now 2 cards have been forced. And then I say, okay, well, in order for me to find your card in this deck, really all I need to do is shuffle the deck. Now, it's at this point that I do my 3 pharaoh shuffles. So that's 1. That's 2. And it's always the third one that's the toughest. That's 3. And there's the little thing you can do as well. Now you can see all the cards are back to its original order. Okay, they're all back except for the king of clubs, which was your card, and the 8 of diamonds, which was your cards. They all seem to have switched places. So that's another neat little variation that you can do if you don't like the sort of predicted move. I actually developed this when I performed this trick and I had screwed up the order, and I showed somebody, oh look, the whole deck is reset, and they said, oh no, look, the 3 and the 4 clubs are opposite. So I thought, oh well, wouldn't it be neat if I could back that with some sort of prediction. Another few little details about this is instead of showing the deck when you've done 5 pharaohs and saying, here is a shuffled deck of cards, that invites the spectator, I think, to say, really it's shuffled, let me shuffle it. So in the performance, I just say, here is a deck of 52 cards, and I'm going to shuffle them. Another thing that I saw on YouTube is people write their name along the side, and then they do 5 or 6 pharaoh shuffles, and then during the last 2 pharaoh shuffles, when they weave the cards together and they do this move, the cards sort of, the name sort of starts to appear. I think that's really neat if you wanted to do a visual effect. I sort of like this version in that the audience doesn't really know what you're doing until, boom, the trick is revealed. Whereas I think if you're doing this fan move and the name slowly appears, it's sort of a different type of trick. Just seeing if there's any other notes I have here. Again, if you're unfamiliar with the pharaoh or the table shuffle, the zero shuffle, then please watch the rest of this tutorial series, if you will. And thanks very much for commenting on this. I know it's a bit of a longer video, but thanks.